Hi, I'm Olaf and welcome to the all-encompassing guide for items on Olaf as well as my item chart on Google Docs. Today I'm going to break down how to use the item chart, how it applies to your game, and how to apply it to your in-game item selection. Starting off from top to the bottom, I'm going to explain kind of how the chart works and how you can apply it to your game. On the left-hand side we have the legend for the chart. And I'm going to start with how items are sorted. You have basic items, which are non-complete tier 1 and tier 2 items. For instance, cloth armor is a basic item. It's under the tanky basic item section. And tier 2 would be chain vest, which is also under the basic items section. Next we have completed items, which are things such as Warmogs, Bloodthirster, Black Cleaver, etc. Next we have the chart meanings, which are done on a scale of 1 to 10. Don't worry about the actual numbers themselves. There are very few things that are actually 10 out of 10 in a specific category. Mainly I'm using the numbers to focus on comparing multiple items across multiple different categories. And do not compare, I want to stress this, do not compare basic items to completed items. Period. Obviously, Thornmail is going to be better than cloth armor. The first actual category we're going to talk about is survivability. What this means is how an item affects Olaf's ability to survive damage. So that includes lifesteal, health, resistance, shields, etc. Things that keep you alive. Next is damage. This one's actually pretty obvious, however, the numbers themselves don't actually take CDR into effect here, just a face value damage value. In terms of, for instance, we have Bloodthirster compared to Ravenous Hydra in terms of AD. Bloodthirster gives an equal amount. Moving on to resistance. Looking at the armor and magic resistance value here and kind of just comparing them, this factors into survivability, but if you're looking for a specific type of resistance, you can compare and see which resistance item is better. Next we have utility and miscellaneous. This is honestly the most broad category simply because I'm looking at CDR, item passives, as well as generic synergy with Olaf. For instance, I value the CDR passive of Cleaver here to be slightly better than the passive of Styrax, as you can see. However, the survivability itself is better. Styrax's, that is, survivability is quite higher compared to Styrax. The last one we have here is item pathing, and this really only has basic items that you'll almost constantly buy each game, as well as how many good reliable options that this basic item can be built into. So like if suddenly you have to change what item you're gonna buy in terms of completed items, how well can this basic item, like here I'm gonna highlight it, it's 3, right? How well can these suddenly build into a tanky option or a situational option? For instance, this dagger, or longsword I mean, can go into basically a maw, right? Your situation suddenly changes. So really only the basic items have that, and you should probably honestly only compare the tier 1 and tier 2 items. So like Chain Vest and Negatron. Negatron's a little bit more situational, but that's just an example of tier 2. Remember, when you're comparing one item to another, look across multiple categories. For instance, Styrax's survivability isn't as high as Titanic Hydra's, but Titanic Hydra's damage is flat out better. However, the shield and the passive of Styrax as a whole is a little bit better than the cleave passive on the Titanic Hydra. The first type of item that I'm going to go over here is tanking. This consists of items that you'll regularly buy, and they're mostly comparative tank stats. Like I said, you have the basic and then you have the completed. Each section is kind of like outlined on the top and the bottom, and it's color coded over here. So over here it'll tell you what type or what the thing does, that is, the damage, or you know, if it's it's tanky, what does it do, why is this in core items, etc. The second type of item we have is damage. Here. Boom. And this consists of items that you might semi-regularly buy that are comprised of mainly damage stats. On to situational items. Situational items are a little bit more difficult because these items are really only good when their specific niche is required. So I went over each of them and kind of wrote down why or when something is good specifically out of that situational items category. So make sure you read over why it's good and get a good feel as to when you want to buy this type of item. Keep in mind too that something might be more common than you think, for instance Guardian Angel, but others it might be forever or never when you buy it, like Locket of the Iron Solari. On to the last and the most simple category, which is starting items. These numbers here are specifically to compare starting items to starting items. Obviously, Adorn's Blade isn't as good as a Bloodthirster in damage, in literal damage numbers, right? Because it's got a 9 here, it's got a 10 here. So you're really only meant to, these numbers are only meant to compare starting items to other starting items. So I'm going to go over an example as to how you can come to a conclusion of an item. So let's start with, let's say I need a tanky item, right? So I can kind of look at the completed items here and see, okay, what type of resistance do I need? Obviously I'm not jungle, so I'm mainly looking at these ones here, right? So let's say I need magic resistance, okay? So I know instantly the first item I'm going to buy, because out of these two magic items, they both build out of a null. So I'm going to buy a null instantly. Or, if I'm looking to build Spirit Visage, I could buy the cowl, right? So let's look at the cowl. So the cowl has better survivability, as well as a little bit higher resistance, as well as some utility. However, it doesn't have as good pathing. So for instance, I will buy the null and I'll sit on it unless I know for a fact that I'm going to go Spirit Visage. If I don't know I'm going to go Spirit Visage, I can just sit on this null and go from there, because I can build that null into this maw here, or Hex Drinker. Or I can build it into a Spectre's Cowl and then buy the Spirit Visage. Pretty much the same rundown with damage items as well. You're gonna want to buy. You're gonna start with the longsword and then go down the tree, unless you know what item you're gonna buy, right? Because longsword goes into a billion different things that you will eventually pick up if you're buying a damage item. So usually you're going to want to start from the bottom and go up, unless you already know what end goal item you want. So let's say if I'm 0 items deep, I know I'm going to want a Black Cleaver. Obviously I'm going to buy a longsword because longsword goes in Black Cleaver, but I'll go from there. Another thing you can do is, let's say I have enough gold for only one of these, the Sapphire Crystal or the longsword. Well, the obviousness is, okay, do I want survivability or damage? If I want survivability, I'll pick up the Sapphire Crystal. If I want damage, I'll pick up the longsword. From there, the item chart itself is pretty self-explanatory. And this is, like I said earlier, this is really, really important that you understand why and when these situational items are good. Because you don't want to just randomly buy them, and if a situation comes up where they're actually really, really good in your situation, you don't want to ignore them and not buy them. This is a part of series where I'm going to break down Olaf from runes to masteries to matchups and lane phase and everything else in between. This is going directly into my Olaf guide, and if you haven't seen it and would like to check it out, the link is in the description below. If you're watching this from the guide, I have more content on the way. If you'd like to see more, subscribe if you would like. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and if you enjoyed my guide, please also give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know in the comment section of either the video or the guide, and I'll answer it as soon as I can. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.